Commander Zethkar of the Valorian 7th Fleet watched in horror as the primitive human vessel careened through the ancient battleground of Nexus 7, completely oblivious to the century-old war raging around them. The sleek craft, barely more than a glorified cargo hauler by galactic standards, weaved between plasma bursts and antimatter torpedoes with what could only be described as reckless abandon. "Sir," his tactical officer chittered nervously, "the humans have entered the contested zone. Should we warn them?" Zethkar's 4 eyes tracked the human ship as it performed an impossible barrel roll through a formation of Krillian dreadnoughts, somehow avoiding the withering crossfire that had claimed 3 of his own destroyers just hours before. "They already know," he muttered. "Look at their trajectory." The human ship, UES Wanderlust according to their transponder, wasn't fleeing. It was accelerating deeper into the battlefield, broadcasting what their universal translators identified as music across all frequencies. The melody was crude, aggressive, with a pounding rhythm that made Zethkar's antennae twitch involuntarily. Captain Sarah Chen grinned as she yanked the Wanderlust into another impossible maneuver, her crew whooping with delight as particle beams lit up the space around them like a deadly light show. "Jenkins, are you getting this recorded?" "Every second, Captain," her engineer called back, his fingers dancing over holographic displays. "The boys back on Luna are gonna lose their minds when they see this footage." "Rodriguez, how's our shields?" "Holding up?" "Surprisingly well," the weapons officer replied, ducking as another explosion bloomed off their starboard bow. "Whatever these aliens are shooting at each other, it's not designed for our tech. Our basic deflectors are shrugging off hits that would vaporize their ships." Chen laughed, spinning the ship through a debris field of destroyed vessels. "Different. Technological trees, different weaknesses, lucky us." The Krillian Hive Admiral Vexthal was having a very different experience. For 97 years, his swarm had been locked in eternal combat with the Valorians over the resource-rich Nexus system. Both species had evolved their weapons and defenses specifically to counter each other, creating a perfect stalemate of mutual destruction. Then these humans had arrived, and everything changed. "They're doing what?" Vexthal screeched as his subordinate repeated the report. "They're collecting debris, Admiral. Our wreckage, Valorian wreckage, everything. They've deployed some kind of tractor system and they're just taking it." Through his compound eyes, Vexthal watched the human ship effortlessly dodge between his finest warriors while simultaneously vacuuming up the scattered remains of a Valorian battlecruiser. The audacity was incomprehensible. "Are they scavenging?" "Unknown, sir. They broadcast a message saying, 'Finders keepers' when we hailed them." Aboard the Wanderlust, Chen was having the time of her life. "Okay, team, mark that power core, intact Valorian antimatter containment. That's worth a fortune to the research division. Ooh, and grab those Krillian biocircuits while you're at it." "Captain," her navigator spoke up hesitantly, "we've got both fleets converging on our position. I think they want us to leave." "Leave?" Chen's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Tommy, we just discovered the galaxy's biggest free-for-all, and they want us to leave? Not a chance." She keyed the ship's communications array. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Wanderlust to all vessels in the area. We claim this battlefield under Terra's right of salvage. Any complaints can be filed with our diplomatic corps, assuming you can catch us first." What happened next would be talked about in military academies across the galaxy for generations. The Wanderlust suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, not away from the battlefield, but directly through it. Chen had noticed something both alien fleets had missed in their century of warfare. The battle had created perfect corridors of devastation that, with the right timing and trajectory, could be navigated like a three-dimensional maze. The human ship began surfing gravitational waves created by the massive energy discharges, using the aliens' own weapons fire as a propulsion system. They skipped across plasma bursts like stones on water, rode the wake of antimatter explosions, and used the magnetic fields of disabled ships as slingshots. "This is impossible," Zethkar whispered, watching his tactical displays in disbelief. "They're treating the most dangerous battlefield in the sector like some kind of recreational activity." He wasn't wrong. Chen had cranked the music louder, and her crew was actively cheering each near miss. Their ship's computer had somehow learned to predict the chaotic weapons patterns both fleets used, turning certain death into an elaborate dance. "Sir," his communications officer announced, "the humans are broadcasting again." "Put it through." Chen's voice filled the bridge, dripping with barely contained glee. "Hey there, warrior types. Thanks for the most epic obstacle course in galactic history. We've uploaded the navigational data to the public networks. We're calling it the Nexus 7 Extreme Sports Challenge. Should bring quite a bit of tourism revenue to the sector." The implications hit both commanders simultaneously. Humans didn't just survive impossible conditions. They thrived in them. They found joy in chaos, profit in destruction, and entertainment in mortal peril. Within hours, Nexus 7 was swarming with human thrill-seekers racing through the battlefield in increasingly ridiculous vessels. They set up betting pools on near-miss distances, established record categories for most creative use of alien weaponry for propulsion, and somehow convinced both fleets to rate their performances. The century-long war ended not with conquest or surrender, but with the bizarre realization that humans had accidentally created the galaxy's most popular extreme sport. The Valorians and Krillians found themselves reluctant partners in running what became known as the Nexus Challenge, with their ancient battlefield transformed into a tourist destination. Commander Zethkar, now serving as Chief of Safety Regulations, a job title that made him laugh despite himself, often watched new human pilots attempt their first run through the course. They approached certain death with the same enthusiasm his people reserved for mating season. As he'd learned to say, in the human vernacular, only humans could stumble into hell and immediately start planning a vacation resort.